Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to discuss how hard it actually is to learn how to play the saxophone, so stay tuned if you want to find out. But before we get started, allow me to introduce myself in case you don't know me. My name is Joris Rampen, I'm a professional saxophone player and recently I started this YouTube channel to share all kind of saxophone related content with you guys. So if you're into that, this is the place to be. Roll the intro. Yes, by the way, I forgot to mention that you better don't expect the jokes on this channel to be of high quality, because they won't be. Alright, so I think it's time to start the real talk. How hard is it to learn the saxophone? Well, to be honest, it isn't very hard. But before everyone jumps at my throat and I get cancelled, allow me to explain myself. First of all, we need to define what makes an instrument hard to learn. Why does one say that a certain instrument is hard to learn? I like to say that it is because we compare it to the other instruments and make some sort of ranking of instruments going from easiest to hardest to learn. If you think of something else, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you think. Anyway, following that idea, I think the saxophone isn't a very hard instrument to learn. However, I do think it is a quite hard one to master. Let's take an example. A beginner saxophone player will be able to play very quickly almost all the notes on the saxophone, which is something that most beginners of other woodwind instruments would struggle with. But there's one huge difference between the saxophone and most instruments: the quality. Whereas it is much easier to get notes to speak and by consequence to play the saxophone than most other instruments, students usually start with a far lower sound quality than on the other instruments. This means essentially that where on another instrument the student would struggle to get a note even to speak, but when he does, it already sounds quite okay, the saxophone student will most of the time not really struggle with getting the notes to speak, but generally the quality won't be good at all. This is really something he or she needs to develop over time. In this regard, one could even say that the saxophone is a hard instrument because it is so easy to play. See what I did there? The biggest problem with the saxophone being like that is that most saxophonists will never become aware of how to really play the saxophone, because you can have very bad technique and still get all the notes out of the horn. That's the reason why most students never really get to know the right way of saxophone playing, and that's also the reason why the majority of saxophone players sound pretty bad in comparison to the other instruments. Of course, here I'm not really talking about the pro level, but rather the first few years someone is playing. A student of another instrument will struggle much more to get the notes out of the instrument, but when he does, he will be already at least on the right track in terms of controlling the instrument. Whereas on the saxophone, getting all the notes to speak literally does not mean anything. You can have the worst technique and get them all out of there. Now, this obviously also has its advantages, because look at all the different things we can do with the saxophone. It's an incredibly versatile instrument, thanks to that characteristic mainly. Like, can you name one other instrument on which you can have so many incredible different sounds? Go ahead, do it in the comments. I'm waiting. That's what I thought. So let's answer the question: how hard is it to learn the saxophone? Well, it depends if you subscribe and like this video or not. I see you smiling there behind your screen, but this time I'm not even kidding. On this channel you will be able to find all kinds of saxophone related content, so hitting that subscribe button might be really the easiest thing you could do right now to improve your sax playing or help you get started if you haven't yet. Thank you. Anyway, now that you've subscribed and liked the video, I do feel like I have to say that it also depends on which level you are trying to get to. If you're looking to master the saxophone completely, I believe that the saxophone is quite a hard instrument to master. On the other hand, if you want to learn the saxophone as a hobby, you can learn it very quickly. Chances are even that if you're committed, you will be able to get all the notes out of the instrument after just 3 to 4 months. But then the real work starts, of course, to get you towards the sound you like. Whether it's more classical or more jazz, that really doesn't matter. And gain control over the instrument. And this will take you years. But in the meantime, you will already be able to make music with others and have a lot of fun. Here's a graph of what I feel like describes quite well the process of learning the saxophone. So as you can see, it starts off pretty quickly And then you reach a point where your improvement really gets difficult to measure because there are so many little things you need to learn about the instrument that will take you months, but are literally the tiniest things ever. And sadly, that is the point where most amateur sax players stay because the horn gives you a false sense of control, as opposed to the other instruments where the learning curve looks more like a straight line. So as you can see, the saxophone really isn't that hard to get into, and if you were thinking of starting to learn it, I strongly suggest you do. If you already play the saxophone, I hope this video helped you somewhat in understanding what the next step for you feels like, and I hope it will stop you from feeling discouraged if you feel like you're not really progressing anymore as fast as you used to, because that's normal. At the end of the day, it is a learning process like everything else in life, and it's going to take a bit of time. Don't expect to be an amazing sax player in one night. Anyway, if you have any questions or video requests, please leave a comment down below and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're down there if for some weird reason you haven't done that yet. And that will already be it for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep on practicing. Peace. Oh, damn it. Now I have fingerprints on my lens.